Hey, what's going on, Chef's the Geek? And it is time for another episode of At the Movies with the Geek. This time we're going to look at the movie The Other Guys, starring Will Ferrell and Mark Wahlberg. It's written and directed by Adam McKay. It's PG-13. I don't remember the runtime, but who really cares? I really liked this movie. I think it was one of those movies that is a Will Ferrell classic movie. You know, it's up there with his other good movies. I think you have Will Ferrell movies that are good and that we all like and you remember, and then you got those ones that are kind of like, you know, Will Ferrell's in it, so there's some funny parts. I think this is one that was that's going to be one of his that you kind of rattle off whenever you're talking about his really good movies. I mean, maybe it's not quite to the upper echelon of his movies, but it's up there. Basically, the premise of the movie is Will Ferrell and Mark Wahlberg are detectives on the force in New York. They are partners. And what happens is, at the beginning of the movie, you have Dwayne Johnson or The Rock and Samuel L. Jackson. They're these badass cops that don't fill out paperwork. You know, they basically just go out, they shoot bad guys, and they destroy things. And so everyone else in the precinct is basically their bitches and does their paperwork and stuff because they don't do paperwork. So no one else really else has a chance to shine. Well, spoiler alert, those two guys come up to their untimely demise, which in itself was funny. And so now you have an opening to be who's going to be the top dogs in the precinct. And of course that includes Will Ferrell and Mark Wahlberg. We kind of learn the backstory of how these guys became cops and how they became kind of the lesser of cops in the precinct. You know, they're getting picked on and everything. But, I mean, it's a great movie. I thought it was funny. It was hilarious. I think it was one of those Will Ferrell good movies rather than a Will Ferrell's in a pretty bad or okay movie. It was one of those Will Ferrell's in a good movie. I mean, and if you're a Will Ferrell fan, you're going to love the movie. I mean, he has some great lines, has some great scenes, all the way from, you know, I don't even want to spoil it, but there's just a lot of great scenes in this movie. I saw it a couple days ago, and I still keep thinking of things. I kind of laugh at them, and I really would like to see it again because, you know, watching Will Ferrell do comedy, you know, I would love to know how much of this movie he actually was scripted and that he just didn't go off on because, I mean, he does such a great job. There's a backstory of where he was a pimp, and, like, every once in a while he busts out into, like, this pimp attitude. It's just hilarious. And then there's a running thing. Michael Keaton is the captain of the force, and there's a running thing where he keeps quoting TLC songs, and it's just hilarious. And then since you've seen the previews, this really isn't really a spoiler, but Will Ferrell drives a Jetta. It was a Prius. He drives a Prius, and you know, it's just, to me, it was just comedic that here you got a detective cop in high-speed chases getting shot up by helicopters, and he's driving a Prius. You know, it's getting blasted by, you know, automatic weapons, and he's just driving around town in a Prius. So that just, to me, that just was hilarious. So I love the film. I thought it was great. It's a good comedy, one of the best of the year. I thought it was better than Dinner for Schmucks, and definitely one of those good Will Ferrell movies. So I'm gonna give it 2 thumbs up. I'll say, if I was gonna say out of 5 stars, I say 3.5 out of 5 stars would be my pick on this one. Definitely go see it. I think you'll enjoy it. Definitely, especially if you're a Will Ferrell fan. But till next time, maybe we'll see you at the movie soon.